Cameras can be on or off, whatever's good for you. Eyes open or closed. Make sure you're either, you can even lie down for this. You might fall asleep, but that's totally up to you. Or just make sure you're nice and comfy and warm, if possible. Nick's put his hood up. It's gone into full Jedi mode. And as ever, just find an anchor for your attention to start, whether that be your breath or my voice. See if we can, rather than separating ourselves from our anchor, see if we can just sort of allow ourselves to merge into it. So if we're taking the breath as our focus, just bring attention to the breath. Remember, we're not doing this to stop thoughts coming or anything else. We're literally just slowing everything down, just grounding down, so that we don't get swept away. That's all. And by we, I mean that thing that we ultimately are, that awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, moving energy. And notice if you're holding tension, or if the body is holding tension, let's say. But we're obviously still inherently in the belief that we're bound to the body. So by that token, if it feels like there are areas that you can soften and relax, then you can do that. Maybe each time you take a nice slow exhale, and just imagine that any tension is dissolving out of the body or melting away with the breath. And if thoughts appear, if you're already thinking, which is probably likely, if you're anything like me, then look directly at the thoughts. Be curious, where did that come from? Am I adding extra material to that? Am I creating, or am I allowing a whole new narrative to emerge? Obviously, some fascinating cross-pollination somehow between the thoughts and the awareness and the body going on. They say that the thinking mind is where the awareness, the pure awareness, gets tangled up with the body, forms this sort of knot. So the thinking mind has elements of our pure awareness tangled up in it. So that's one explanation of what happens. And just come back to the breath or whatever your focus is. And again, a thought might just mysteriously manifest itself without you calling it up, but all of a sudden there it is. It might be a subtle thought, might be a sneaky thought which appears to be about the practice but then spirals into something else. Or it might be a really bizarre, completely unexpected thought that you call memory, but memory is just another thought in the present moment. Again, look directly at that thought. and it vanishes, where does it vanish into? Where does it dissolve into? It's this fascinating practice. If you catch a thought emerging, the curiosity of where that emerged from, and what it emerged into, and how it came into the awareness is endlessly fascinating. What happens if there's just a pure awareness of the thought without any additional narrative? What happens to it? Does it remain static? Does it not evolve in any way? Does it just vanish? We are obviously looking at the thoughts as objects, because what we feel to be us is very clearly looking at the thoughts as a separate thing. If there's this ability to see a thought emerge and then vanish, and to observe it while it's present, and there's obviously a subject which we call me or I that is doing that observing. If you were inherently the thoughts, you would have complete control over them, and you would just be able to tell them to stop whenever you wanted to take a break. We can't do that, which suggests that we have no control over these thoughts, that they arise spontaneously into the awareness. So the issue that the awareness has isn't the stopping of thinking, because it can't possibly do that. It doesn't have that power. Not if the thoughts are something separate from it. How can it stop them? The issue that the awareness has is this constant stretching out and reaching for the thoughts. Which is why we say there's no effort involved in this. It would be an exhausting effort if you were trying to stop the thoughts, because you can't stop them. The only thing you can really do is take the awareness and hold it on something else, even if that something else is the apparent emptiness of no thinking. It's still a sort of anti-object. Or you hold it on the breath, or you hold it on sensations. That's all awareness can do, but that takes a lot of effort. But actually, all we need to do as the awareness is simply let go of the thoughts. Stop grasping them. And let them come and go as they want. Not our problem. In fact, look at them in an entirely different way. As soon as we stop believing that they are ours, they take on a completely different life. They become as fascinating as the bird singing. We don't know when the bird's going to start singing. We don't know when the bird is going to stop singing. Not in our power to control that. I don't know when the wind is going to blow. I don't know when the wind is going to stop blowing. It's not my concern. If I become obsessed by the wind, it will become my concern. If I become obsessed by the bird singing and I don't want it to stop, or I do want it to stop, it will become a problem. Because the awareness won't be able to let go, or refuses to let go of that object. Exactly the same could be said of the thoughts. In all truth, we could say awareness has no idea where the thoughts arise from, has no idea when they're going to arise, or how long they'll last until they pass on. But that's not concern of the awareness unless it grasps onto the thoughts and can't let go. Then it becomes an issue. As the awareness, all we have to do is soften our grip, relax our hand, and let go of the thoughts. Then they'll just pass through like every other objective experience. They come and they'll go. Interesting. When there's the belief that we are limited to the body mind, we also believe that we can create more certainty or less uncertainty by working on the level of these thoughts, by giving power to these thoughts. If they're anxious thoughts, we believe that giving them our attention will somehow come to some resolution and we'll feel happier or more certain. If they're happy thoughts, which we might call happy memories, but are just present moment thoughts about thoughts that have already happened, we think that clinging to those happy thoughts will bring us greater happiness, less suffering. But no real happiness or unhappiness can ever come from something that isn't real and lasting itself, ultimately real. So just continue with this focus, noticing the thoughts arise, seeing them very clearly as objects arising within the awareness. Not hanging on to them or grasping them, but just continuing to observe them for however brief or long they last. And then being aware of them as they pass again. Being curious about where they go. Even if there seems to be a series of thoughts, each one passes away momentarily as the next one arises. They don't overlap or stack on top of each other. There's a constant coming and going, like as if they're passing through revolving doors. And the question is, where do they come and go to through those doors? And when the awareness looks for those places from where the thoughts emerge, where the thoughts dissolve to, it comes back to itself. It knows it comes back to itself because there's no location it can find as the source of the thoughts or the place that the thoughts vanish to. It looks for a place, it can't find any place. It's just an emptiness or vacuum, stillness. That stillness is just occasionally interrupted by the thought appearing. And as the thought disappears or melts away, it returns back to that stillness or emptiness. We didn't go with the thought. It was our thought. Each time it disappeared, we'd somehow lose a little bit of ourselves with it. And my thoughts. We don't feel somehow diminished every time a thought ends or passes away. We're very clearly still here, exactly as we were. And we don't feel aggrandized or expanded in some way when the thoughts do appear as if they're part of us. They're very clearly the same awareness observing the thoughts. So all this practice does is a practice of insight where we start to see clearly that they are not my thoughts, or not in the way that I imagine them to be. What I feel as discomfort or irritation or agitation is my forgetting to let go of them, is my chasing them, is the effort it takes to hold on to them. When I would let go, when I just relax the grip, they just melt back from where they came, and I just return back to my center. Now just notice your physical body again. Becoming aware of your breath moving. Just feeling the breath become slightly more energized. Maybe the fingers and the toes feeling some life flooding back. Becoming aware of the room around you, the ground underneath you. Taking a stretch or a wiggle or a rub of the face or anything that you feel works for you. So sorry, didn't do a yoga nidra. Got a bit carried away with the thoughts.